Hi, Sasha here from Koji Australia, and today's video we are going to be talking about the barriers that you might face being an IMG in Australia. So the first barrier we're going to be talking about, and arguably one of the biggest barriers for IMGs in Australia, is the language barrier. I have the biggest respect for IMGs coming from non-English speaking countries having to learn the whole of medicine again in English. Now, I know this doesn't really apply to me. I am English speaking. It is my home language and my first language. But I have done the English tests. And I know, even as an English speaker, as my first language, these tests are of a very, very high standard. And I found it very challenging myself to do it. So what I can say to break this barrier would probably be, do what you need to do to learn English. Do the courses, pay the money. Not only will it help you pass those all-important English tests, but it'll also help you in your practice, as communicating in English is a huge part of practicing as a doctor in Australia. Another useful tip is to always be prepared. So this means for upcoming rotations, it's really useful to look up the terminology ahead of time. That way you can practice how to say it and spell it, and you won't be tripping over the English versions of these words when you're working. The second barrier we're going to be talking about is the communication barrier. Now, just because you can speak English doesn't mean that you can effectively communicate as a doctor in Australia. I know this was true for me as well. There are two main areas where IMGs struggle with communication in Australia. The first one is referrals, making referrals face-to-face or over the phone. This is where important tools like ISOBAR come in that make it easier for you to learn how to structure your presentations and referrals. Another handy trick is to always make sure you ask the senior doctor or registrar that is asking you to make the referrals what the exact reason is for the referral, so that you understand what you want from the doctor you are referring to. The second area where IMGs struggle is just everyday communication or back and forth communication between peers and colleagues, and just communicating your point across accurately. We have developed a way to combat this. Just assume that 99% of the time you are misunderstanding the task that has been asked of you. Always re-clarify with the senior or colleague that's asked you to do the task to make sure you fully understand what they have asked of you. Use language like "just to clarify" and repeat the point that they've asked you to make sure that you know exactly what is expected of you. The next barrier is culture shock. Every person that's ever moved to a new country knows that culture shock is real. It's that feeling of feeling foreign, everything around you feeling foreign, no familiarity, and just feeling that you don't belong where you've moved. The best piece of advice I can offer you is to give yourself time. You've made a massive, massive move. It will take time to get used to everything, but you are adaptable and you will eventually adjust. The fourth barrier is adjusting to a new work environment. A common misconception is doctors can practice in any healthcare system in any hospital. This is wrong. In fact, for me, the change was so huge that it felt like I had actually changed professions. A huge part of making this adjustment and assimilating is getting to know Australian culture. And this is something that we go deep into in our podcasts, so make sure you check those out. Another helpful tip is to be prepared before you actually go into the work environment. Know what you're in for, and that's what we're trying to do here at Koji Australia, is help people be prepared before they even start. The fifth and final barrier is something that all doctors know a little bit too well: imposter syndrome. Now, being in a new environment can just heighten these feelings of constant self-doubt, downplaying accomplishments and worth, and feeling like you don't even belong here or deserve to be here. I can safely say that if you've reached this point, not only are you a qualified doctor, but you've had to go through multiple assessments and exams and jump through so many hoops to even get a job in Australia. You definitely belong here and deserve to be there. I think to combat imposter syndrome as a doctor is to be realistic. I don't think that it ever truly goes away, and due to the nature of our work, we will always be filled with feelings of self-doubt at some stage. I do think, however, that it is possible to develop coping mechanisms to be able to control these feelings and to be able to channel them in a more positive way and learn when it's appropriate to feel self-doubt and when it isn't. We look forward to going on this journey with you and helping you break more barriers along the way. If you liked this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Thank you so much for watching.